Hi, great to be with you. Welcome to your Introduction to Philosophy. I want to go over with you the email that you just received and walk you through what it is that you're getting into. So, first of all, philosophy is not just an academic discipline. Of course, it is something that you can study at the university. There are professors of philosophy, and there is a kind of technical side to philosophy where you can go down philosophy of language or philosophy of math or something else like that. But what I want you to see is the broad, expansive, comprehensive, and kind of authoritative side of philosophy. The part of philosophy where we can say of it that philosophy rules the world. It's an architectonic thing, not just a small technical field or subdiscipline or kind of miniature inquiry. It's a big life and death ruling kind of science. So some people may think philosophy is just an academic discipline, that it's an abstract mental exercise. That's another thing. You might believe that philosophy deals primarily with mental abstractions, and there's a sense in which it does, but abstract can mean two different things. It can mean unrelated to reality, like mere abstractions, things that have nothing real to them, nothing practical to them, that are in no sense effective, that are kind of disconnected, disembodied, and all of that. But that's not really true of philosophy. It's not abstract in that sense, at least not all the time. And other people may think that it's useless. It's just a sort of mental shell game or something. But if you look away from that, what do you see? You see things are going on around the world, major changes within countries and between countries, wars and revolutions. You hear what people say, you see what they do, but do you know the invisible dimension behind their words and actions? What makes someone believe that freedom is the greatest good or that equality is? Why do some people fight for a global world order while others defend the existence of nation states? Why do the people battle over what children should be taught in schools, each side calling the other one fascist? So we move from the useless, abstract academic discipline interpretation of philosophy to the view of philosophy as something else where the ideas are the invisible movers, the ideas that people have. Politicians and other influential actors are following ideas about what's right and wrong, just and unjust, good and bad. These ideas come from all kinds of places. But if you trace them back to their source, back to the place where the great disputes began, they come from philosophers. So it's the debate between philosophers that moves the world through the politicians who follow one idea or another. Okay, this is me trying to convey to you that philosophy is not just academic, abstract mental exercise, useless, disconnected, small, technical, irrelevant, trifling, and all of that, but rather that you can't even understand the great, big shifts in the world, the ones that take us between the poles of war and peace, unless you understand the invisible dimension. The invisible dimension is people's ideas, what they think. They act on those thoughts, but if you want to trace those thoughts to their source, you have to study philosophy. There's a reason, for instance, that the Russian philosopher Alexander Dugin has been called Putin's brain, and that the president of El Salvador calls himself a philosopher king, using a famous idea from Plato's Republic. The French president is known to follow the work of a certain philosopher. In short, everywhere you look, politics is driven by ideas, and you can't understand that without understanding the philosophers whose ideas they are. In this Introduction to Philosophy course that you signed up for and that I've produced for you and I'm excited to deliver to you, we're going to cover the foundations that you need to get started to understand the ideas that shape our world. That's the mission of the Millerman School, the school that I founded, making sense of the world through philosophy. This is a special set of lessons for newcomers. So many of the students who study at Millerman School maybe already know and are a little bit more advanced, so they can go into a deep dive of a difficult book. But I've produced this course especially for beginners who are trying to wrap their head around what is this thing we call philosophy. Here's how this special set of lessons works, this philosophyintro.com course that you signed up for. Shortly, you're going to get your first lesson, which explains the nature of philosophical questioning and defines some key terms of the discipline. So, what's metaphysics? What's epistemology? What's ontology? How should we think about ethics and logic? What are the terms and divisions of the discipline of philosophy, and what kinds of questions are philosophical questions? In the second lesson, you'll explore arguments for the idea that political philosophy is at the heart of philosophy. You might think there is no heart of philosophy. That's one view. Or you might think, maybe it's logic. Maybe it's mathematics. Maybe it's philosophy of religion or philosophy of art. How is philosophy structured? Does it have a heart? Does it have a central focal point? And is there an argument that political philosophy is the heart of philosophy? There is. Happens to be my favorite lesson of this introduction, and you'll see that the second lesson. In the third lesson, you'll experience the strange effect of one famous philosopher's obsessive focus on being as the central philosophic concern. So if lesson 1 is a general introduction and lesson 2 is about political philosophy, lesson 3 is really about the view that ontology, or an inquiry into being, defines what philosophy's primary task is and ought to be. And in the fourth lesson, we'll review what we've surveyed and map out some of the thinkers that you can turn to next. So maybe you'll find this or that particular idea or author appealing. I want to leave you with some options so that you know where to turn next. Now, many students who study with me at millermanschool.com prefer to begin with the classic of classics, Plato's Republic. You may have heard the saying that all of Western philosophy consists of footnotes to Plato. That's another way of saying that Plato covered all the big questions, and he covered them in a way that continues to resonate today. Everybody who thinks eventually must think with Plato, against Plato, about Plato. So Plato is a classic source, and his Republic is a classic among classics. So our 10-session course on Plato's Republic, perhaps the most important philosophy book ever, is the #1 bestseller in the school. And I'm offering for students who are going through philosophyintro.com a student discount. If you use the code NEWSTUDENT, you get 50% off the enrollment for Plato's Republic. And you can just click that link and see it for yourself. If you want to learn more about the school in passing, you can go to millermanschool.com. But the second lesson, or actually the second email, but the first lesson is coming soon, where you're going to get the introduction into what is a philosophical question, what is philosophy as a discipline. And I hope you're excited. There's a lot to look forward to. An interest in philosophy changed my life. It's changed many people's lives. Not everybody who's done it through academic circles. In fact, not long ago, I was talking to my barber. Hope you haven't been there recently. Okay, so don't blame him if you don't like the cut. But I was talking to my barber from the Dominican Republic, and he told me, I'm quoting, he said, "Philosophy changed my life." When he discovered philosophy and when he discovered what you can learn about self-control, self-rule, ruling over your emotions and your thoughts, not reacting to everything that happens to you, understanding more about yourself and the world, it brought him a certain sort of calm and composure. And as I said, for him, it saved his life. And for other people, it gives them the key to understanding how to navigate their way in the world. And for people in positions of power, it gives them ideas on how to run the world and how to rule the world. So philosophy is a master key in this life, in my opinion at least. And I can't wait for you to learn more about it. Enjoy the course, enjoy your emails, and I'll see you in the next one.